You're listening to the Vox Media Podcast Network.
This is What the Heck with Mike Heck on MMAfighting.com. Now, here is your host, Mike Heck.
What the heck?
Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of What the Heck here on MMAfighting.com. I am Mike Heck. Thank you, as always, for checking out the show. We got a fun one this week, coming off a memorable UFC 262 card on Saturday night in Houston, Texas. We have a new UFC lightweight champion of the world. His name is Charles Oliveira. What a fight that was. What a performance. What a way to battle back from being in some big trouble in that first round against Michael Chandler. It was just an awesome fight. I've watched the fight 3 times now, once live and 2 after the fact. It gets better every time you watch it. It's that good of a fight, especially when you have sort of hindsight in the back of your mind, like you know how it ends, and then you just try to find like little pieces that you didn't catch live. It's such a good main event. Hats off to both Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler for such a great fight. Huge win for Beneil Dariush. Dominates Tony Ferguson, complete one-way traffic, and I know the story has become all about Tony Ferguson, and it doesn't look like he's the same guy anymore, but put some respect on Beneil Dariush's name. That was some performance. He even got Elon Musk's attention. When Elon Musk is tweeting about you and responding to you, you're doing something right. So huge win for him. How about that crazy fight between Edson Barboza and Shane Burgos? I mean, that was some battle. That was a really fun card. And we talked about it on the post-fight show. Talked about it on to the next one. Sure, we'll talk about it on the A side. I know we're going to talk about it on Between the Links. We'll even talk about it on this show coming up a little bit later on. But that was this past weekend. We got a lot of MMA action on the horizon this weekend. Bellator is back on Friday night. Bellator 259 at Mohegan Sun. Chris Cyborg defends her featherweight title against Leslie Smith. That is the main event. We have the return of Invicta FC on Friday as well. New network. Little rebranding. Pretty excited to see what it all looks like on Friday. And plus, we got the UFC back on Saturday, back at the Apex, UFC Vegas 27. Really excited for that main event. Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt. Huge one at 135 pounds. One of those guys is going to have the chance to get a little bit of a head start on Corey Sandhagen and on TJ Dillashaw, since that fight, which was supposed to go down a few weeks ago, has not been officially rebooked. So big opportunity for Rob Font and for Cody Garbrandt. I got to see Rob Font a couple weeks ago. Actually, it was last week. Yeah, it was last week. It was a week ago. Week and a half ago. I'll throw it out. A week and a half ago. Not that that really matters the date, but we're doing some fun stuff with that conversation. Got a chance to watch Rob Font spar and do some training ahead of that fight. So pay attention to our YouTube page. You'll see that drop in a little bit. But fun weekend coming up. Lots of MMA action. Lots of good stuff from the fighters this week on the show. So let us run down the lineup and we'll get to our first guest. We're going to wrap things up with Phil Hawes, now 3-0 in the UFC after his win over Kyle Daukaus at UFC Vegas 26 a couple of weeks ago. And he's already got his next fight booked. In fact, he had it booked before the Kyle Daukaus fight went down. July 17th, he fights Deron Winn. And Phil Hawes signed to fight Deron Winn before he accepted the fight with Kyle Daukaus. Deron Winn didn't like that too much, and we'll get Phil Hawes' thoughts on that, Israel Adesanya, his road up the middleweight ranks, and much more as he makes his What the Heck debut. Austin Vanderford will join us. He is back on the aforementioned Bellator 259 card this Friday. A big one for him against Fabian Edwards. A win for the gentleman puts him very close to a middleweight title shot in the Bellator cage. So we'll hear what he has to say about that a little bit later on. Very Tom Brady-esque sort of view on everything from one Austin Vanderford. We're also going to be joined by Austin's teammate and fellow Bellator 259 participant, Danny Sabatello, who makes his Bellator debut on Friday against Brett Johns. Remember Brett Johns? One of the top guys at 135 pounds in the UFC. He signed with Bellator last year. It was a big deal, and Danny Sabatello is looking to play spoiler. This guy, if you don't know who he is, if you haven't seen him already, he's got a ton of personality. He was on the Contender Series. He was putting up 30-24 scorecards on the Contender Series and didn't get a contract. But now, apparently, the UFC's loss is Bellator's gain. Danny was on fire in this conversation. You'll hear from the former Titan FC Bantamweight champion coming up a little bit later on. But first, let us kick things off with Andrea KGB Lee, who had herself quite the night in Houston, Texas on Saturday at UFC 262. Let us get to that chat right now to kick off What the Heck. All right, we move ahead to one of the big winners on Saturday night at UFC 262 in Houston. Huge victory for one Andrea KGB Lee. She submits Antonina Shecvhenko in the second round and now is back in the win column for the first time in almost 2 years. Andrea, congratulations on the victory. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really happy. I'm proud. I'm excited because, like you said, first time in 2 years. It's really hard to believe. It's weird when you say that.
I know. It's kind of a damper way to start the interview, but still exciting stuff. Just to kind of go back to that, there's so much riding on this fight, and a lot of things surely were probably on your mind coming off of 3 straight losses. You're back in Houston where this skid began with the Lauren Murphy fight. So to sit here talking about a win and a finish and that kind of a dominant performance, how does that all feel?
Man, it's exciting. I've been on cloud 9, I guess you could say. I just felt good getting back in there, but fighting with a clear mind. And, I just felt like I could see everything. I could hear my corners so well and so vividly. Like, I just felt like I was in the fight, for the first time in the last couple of fights. Like, my head was there, not in space, but in the fight. So, I'm just really happy. It was a great performance.
Yeah, that was like one thing that was so noticeable to me even before the fight started, because you and I have been having these conversations for a while now. You have been through a lot, and while you've always had like a really good poker face and you did your job to the best of your ability, like immediately when Bruce Buffer started introducing you to the crowd in Houston, like you looked loose as a goose, you looked free, you looked happy. And the things that you've been through over the last couple of years, it's hard to remove all that fully, but it seems like you've been able to create enough space from it that as much as you could heading into the fight, like you seem much happier, much more free. Like, am I reading that right? Because even in the Montana De La Rosa win, that sort of freedom in your mind didn't seem to be there. You still got the win. And then even after you beat her, it was all about, win and get a title shot and Valentina Shecvhenko and all of that. It was just so much for you to process. But this one, it just stuck out to me that you were just different, not just in the fight, but you as a person. Like, can you elaborate more on that? Like, am I in the wheelhouse?
You are. And I'm glad you noticed that. Because yes, even though I did get that win against Montana, I was not as focused in that fight. There was still a lot going on, behind closed doors, that people don't know about. There's always something going on in someone's life, but I feel like for the first time, like I didn't have any of those distractions. I was able to breathe and just like focus on my fight. I was able to go and do a training camp, like in California and Colorado, and just kind of get away and just focus on preparing for what needed to be done. And so I really felt that going into that fight. I felt my confidence back. I felt like my skills were sharp again. And I just felt like there was no limitations on what I could do in there, So I believe that showed, I got to show a well-rounded fighter, and I feel great about that.
That KGB swagger was back in full effect.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
Did you feel a lot of pressure heading into the fight? Like, you got the win now, and hindsight is everything. And I know there's nerves heading into any fight, but did this one feel different? Like, did you feel extra pressure at all heading into it?
I did feel pressure. I knew I could not get another loss, and I needed this win. Because 4 straight losses in a row, that's worse. That's just worse. Having 3 already, it doesn't look good, but and they were all 3 close decisions, but I really needed to go out there and prove to everyone and prove to myself that I still belong in the UFC, and they are making cuts, and I don't want to be on that chopping block. So I needed to get that win, and that's what I was able to do. But yes, there was definitely some added pressure going into the fight, but I just had to not try to focus on that and just go out there and have fun.
Antonina obviously is a dangerous striker, especially in close in the clinch, but out in space, you seem to have her all figured out. Like you were timing her jabs very well. You were landing good combinations. You stung her good in the first round, but the clinch, there's one point in that first round where she was landing those knees to your body. Like it just seemed like over and over again. What was that like? Because it looks pretty painful watching the broadcast, but what was going through your mind in those moments?
It might have looked painful watching it, but no, I actually they didn't hurt. They didn't really faze me at all. They could have potentially, but they didn't. I mean, just being honest, like they didn't bother me at all. I just knew that it didn't look good, and so I needed to break that clinch and get out of that. But yeah, I did get kind of stuck. I mean, she has a really good full plumb clinch. She's nice and strong in that, but we planned for that. We trained for that, and I was able to break free and keep the fight in like working for me, and making her fight my fight.
Yeah, overall, I mean, besides that, it was a great first round for you. You had a lot of success, the strikes, the takedown at the end. How confident were you feeling heading into the second that you were able to come out of those clinch situations and you pretty much took all the momentum heading out of that first round?
Man, like at the end of the first round, like walking to my corner, I just felt so good because I wasn't breathing heavy. My arms weren't heavy or bloated with lactic acid. Neither were my legs. Like I just knew that I was in good shape. Like you can tell, like at the end of the first round, you're going to feel it. But I didn't even feel like we had even fought for 5 minutes in that first round. Because in, my last couple of fights, man, I'm going to the second round, and I'm like, man, I'm like, why do I feel exhausted? I trained hard for this, but like, I just felt like a different person in there, and going into the second, I felt great. I knew I had the first round and I still had getting a finish, one way or another on my mind. And, it just, man, I mean, I worked hard for it that second round, but, man, happy that it just worked out the way that it did. Cause she almost had my back, but I was able to turn that into a hip toss and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah, and you mounted her. The triangle was cinched in for what seemed like an entire round, and you're busy down there too. You're landing those brutal elbows, and then finally you were able to cinch the arm and you got the tap. How tired were you getting in that spot before you were able to finally get the arm and get the submission?
My legs were giving out. They were getting really tired because I was squeezing. I mean, I know maybe it didn't look like I was doing everything right, but she just will not tap to a choke. Like, I guess she has like a small neck or something, because I mean, I was pulling down on the head. I was getting the angle. I had my arm like reached all the way through her belly, and wrapped around the waist. And I was squeezing my legs tight together, but I could still hear her breathing a little bit. And she was just kind of like waiting and being patient. And I was like, man, I've got to do some damage, because right now she's just chilling. I got to make her like sweat a little, So I knew that the best way to finish her was not going to be a choke. It was going to have to be the arm. So I just had to loosen her up a little bit until I could get that arm free to stretch it out.
So we talked the 2-year number before we started, but right before we hit record and got on here, I looked this up because this is a crazy number to see. That was your first UFC finish, but it was also your first finish in 1,331 days, Andrea. 1,331 days, almost 4 years between finishes. Is that just a wild number to hear said out loud, especially since you finished so many fights early on in your career?
It really is. I expect more from myself. I feel like I should be getting more finishes, and it's hard to believe that that's my first finish in the UFC. But I've gotten to where I wasn't necessarily playing it so safe in this fight. I wanted to go out there, have a smart fight, but I mean, I wanted to like take a chance, and I did. I took a chance, going from mount or from that crucifix position into the mounted triangle. I mean, that and then fall into my back. I mean, that is taking a chance. But typically in my other fights, I've been like, winning rounds, and I don't like to fight like that. I haven't fought like that for Invicta and Legacy and LFA. I'm always out to get a finish, or at least try to keep it from going to the judge's hands. So to me, yes, that is crazy. First finish in 4 years, and my first win in 2 years. So it's crazy to me.
When the tap happened, like it looked like there was this invisible weight that just flew off of you. It was like this sort of vindication feeling that, this is the fighter I've always said that I can be. And it was right there for everybody to see. Like, did you feel like just this huge weight lifted when the referee told you to stop and the fight was over?
Yes, I did. Man, I was excited. I knew like if she wasn't going to tap, I mean, I was going to have to make that arm not usable for the next round. So, cause my legs weren't going to be usable. So I was going to have to take something from her. But man, I felt so good after the ref stepped in, I just felt so much emotion like build up, and I was just wanted to hug my corner, and just celebrate with everybody. It felt really good, I mean, there was a lot of doubters out there. I mean, I know even the commentators probably didn't think that my striking was as good as it was, but I mean, my striking is really good. I just haven't been able to show it in the last couple of fights like I want to. And so, I felt good out there. I felt calm, I felt honed in, and I was focused.
I know, like, heading into your last few fights, we were talking, like, there's just some fun matchups that you were a part of, and you're like, we're going to go out there, we're going to go out there and get fight of the night. We're going to have a barn burner. We're going to each get fight of the night. This is a performance bonus worthy performance, Andrea. You didn't get it. And I know it got bumped up to $75,000. I know it didn't go your way, but were you a little bummed that you didn't get that bonus?
Well, of course I was. But, when you're fighting on a stacked card, it's going to be hard because there's so many incredible athletes, fighting on the same card that you are. And I just knew it was going to be hard. And not to mention the $75,000, the extra bonus, the extra little incentive that it gave to everyone to get a finish. I mean, there was like knockouts and weird finishes all night. So, I mean, I knew it was going to be hard once Dana had announced that. I was like, man, it's going to be easy. I got to go out there and really make this one exciting. But, it happens. I'm just happy, that I got to win. I got to finish. I mean, it was a great performance. And regardless of getting the bonus, I'm sure maybe, sometimes, I'm just hoping like maybe I'll get like a little locker room bonus. Who knows?
There you go. I think it's well deserved.
Dana only gave out, was it 2 bonuses?
He gave he did a fight of the night and 2 performance bonuses.
Yeah. So, I mean, like he has been giving out like 4 bonuses, right?
He has, yeah.
So that's kind of like the catch-20.
There you go. So hopefully maybe he'll throw you a couple extra bucks. I think it's well deserved. So is it fair to say that your relationship with fighting in Houston is in a better place than it was 15 months ago?
Yeah, I would say. I was kind of I was worried. I think that like in my interview, I was asked if there was a slight hesitation to like fight in Houston, and I said, yeah, there was. I felt like that I might be on their bad side because I did make a post, about the judging and stuff. So, and how I felt like, judge wasn't paying attention, and that's kind of like what it looked like. But anyways, I apologize. I mean, if I offended anybody or whatever, but I don't have any like qualms with Houston, Texas. I have no issues with Houston, Texas. I have no issues with Texas in general. I'm from Texas and I love Texas. So, of course, if I ever get the opportunity, I want to be able to fight in Texas in front of everybody that, all my loved ones and my fans. But, I'm happy that I was able to go out there and get my hand raised for the first time in Texas.
There you go.
A couple of times I fought there, I have not gotten my hand raised. It's just never gone my way. So it's exciting to finally have it go my way there.
You had mentioned in your post-fight scrum that, you wanted to kind of get back in there pretty quickly, but you also wanted to focus on your boyfriend Tony Kelly's next fight, which should be an absolute barn burner with Trevin Jones on July 24th. I can't wait for that fight. But are you looking to get in there after that? Or if the right opportunity comes along, are you willing to jump on something a little sooner?
I am willing to jump on something a little sooner. I want to stay busy. I want to be able to focus on his fight. But if the opportunity presents itself, and I'm in great shape, and I'm ready to go, then I would jump on it. But other than that, I want to be able to focus on his next fight coming up and then focus on myself.
Are you at this point concerned with rankings and titles and all of that stuff? Or did that first run you were on, sort of the pressures that come with that, did that kind of better prepare you for it this time around? Like, what's your thought process now in terms of the future after that win?
Maybe I'm better prepared for it now. I still, I don't want to necessarily I don't want to go online and look up where I'm at, where am I ranked now? I don't care about that. I didn't really in the beginning, but like I said, people want to let you know where you are, and I feel like that kind of puts a little unnecessary pressure on top of everything else, and so I don't necessarily want to think about that or focus about that. I just kind of want to fight, and I want to make my way up the rankings. I do, because of course I want an opportunity to fight for the title. But I don't want it to be in the forefront of my mind. It's not what I want to focus on.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because I was talking to Lauren Murphy a few weeks ago, and a lot of people feel like she should be fighting for the title right now after the run that she's been on, and she's just like, you know what? I'm done focusing on that. I'm not going to yell for title shots. When it happens, it'll be because I earned the title shot. There'll be no questions, nothing. So she doesn't want to put that pressure on yourself like you were talking about. Are you kind of in that same boat right now? Give me opponents. I'm not going to say no. I'm just going to go, and I'm just going to enjoy fighting right now.
Yes, I'd say so, because we have a short window of opportunity to be able to do this, and I just want to fight. I just want to get out there and have another opportunity like I did Saturday, and I want to continue to get my hand raised and put on good performances, and I do want to fight for the title. Don't get me wrong. Of course I do. That's what I'm working for. But I also don't want to get caught up, focused on necessarily the wrong things, and add more pressure to the pressure that's already there. There's always pressure going into a fight. I always get butterflies and get nervous, and there's always that little bit of anxiety that comes with it. So I just don't want to get sidetracked. I don't want to I don't know, get disappointed. I don't want to be disappointed and let myself down.
There you go. Just keep the expectations in a healthy place, and yes, the chips will fall where they're supposed to. Yes. Did you get to watch the rest of the card?
I did. There was some that I missed. I missed some, but I did. When I got back to my hotel room, I was able to finish the rest of the card, and I got to see Matt, the co-main and the main.
What did you think of the main event? Charles Oliveira, that crazy fight with Chandler. What did you think of that whole thing?
Yeah, that was insane, because Chandler almost had it won there in the first round, and he certainly could have finished him, but then he ended up on the ground with him, and then Charles was able to recover, and then that was just crazy. Charles coming out there in the next round, and he sniped him, and wow. I was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting a great fight, but I thought that maybe Charles would still be trying to recover, and Chandler still had the upper hand, but that's not what happened.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Charles Oliveira. That's, good for him. He's been working for it for so long. So, it just goes to show. We just keep putting in blood, sweat, and tears, and put it in the hours and get the fights. It can happen. Sometimes it just takes a little while.
Yeah, you're probably going to draw some inspiration from that as well. That was his 28th UFC fight, and that was his first title shot, and he's a champion now. So there's no rush, right?
Yeah. He's had so many incredible fights along the way, and he finally got his opportunity, and now look at him. He got his hand raised. He's got the strap. It's been a long time coming, and, he deserves it.
Great to see Andrea Lee in such great spirits. Congratulations to her on the big win. And like I said, it was quite noticeable seeing Andrea just sort of free in there. You know what I mean? She has just dealt with so much, with her ex-husband and everything that happened in that whole situation. She's always had the talent. Like you saw on the regional scene, saw it in Invicta, and now like it's starting to come together. A lot of that negativity is out of her life. And I feel like this version of Andrea Lee could be a big problem at 125 pounds. As we head to our next guest, another individual looking to be a problem in his respective division, the surging Danny Sabatello, who will look to play spoiler this Friday night in Uncasville, Connecticut at Bellator 259. All right, let us welcome to the program the former Titan FC Bantamweight champion, Danny Sabatello, who is set to make his Bellator debut this Friday night at Mohegan Sun. He's going to take on fellow promotional newcomer, former UFC Bantamweight contender Brett Johns at Bellator 259. Danny, good to see you in quarantine, my man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Feeling ready to go, bro. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So right off the bat, congratulations on not only getting this fight, but it was also revealed that you signed a multi-fight deal with Bellator, and this is obviously well-deserved and great news for you. So I'm curious how this all came to be. Like, when did you find out that A, you were getting this opportunity, and B, you were also signing an exclusive deal with Bellator MMA?
Well, I've been on my manager, Jason House, from Iridium Sports, telling him that I was a big fan of Bellator. You know, I'm at American Top Team, so one of the perks of that is having guys around me in my ear telling me, you know, what I should do, give me an advice. And everyone at ATT has been saying good things about Bellator. So I kind of figured that was the route I wanted to go. So I relayed that message to my manager. We thought something was going to come up, or someone was going to get injured, or someone was going to get corona, and I would have a chance to get in. And I think it was last Thursday, I got the call from my manager. If I want to fight, Brett Johns said, you know, of course, fuck yeah, I'm going to take that any day of the week. And then we just went from there. Now I'm here in Connecticut and ready to fight this guy.
It's been a busy year for you, man. This is like, I think this is your 5th fight in the last 12 months. I mean, and you became the Titan FC champion, defended it, and then you had the Contender Series win sandwich in between. You didn't end up getting a contract, but as you just said, it seems like things worked out the way it was supposed to. I guess, like, how would you describe this last year or so with all of these fights, the opportunities you've been given, and how everything ultimately worked out for you?
I would say I was continuously progressing, not just in my training, but with the opportunities and everything that was happening. I don't really take too much time off. You know, if I don't have an injury, I don't have a sense in taking the time off, relaxing, and all that stuff. I'm basically in camp 24/7. You know, I live inside the gym. Of course, obviously, if you get hurt, that's another thing. But the bottom line is I love fighting, so I'm always in the gym. And if I'm always in the gym, I'm always going to be prepared to fight. So whenever these fights pop up, no matter what promotion, no matter what the circumstances, I'm going to take it. So that's why I've had all these fights in this short amount of time is I've been telling my manager and everything, you know, let's go. And might as well just line up fights. You know, if I'm scheduled with one fight, I'm okay with scheduling a month after that and just continually racking up the W's, because I'm very confident in my abilities, and when I'm healthy, I don't see the reason why not to fight.
You go on the Contender Series, and obviously the reason you go on the Contender Series is to try to get a freaking contract. So you win a dominant decision. The fight with Taylor Moore was not close, but Dana White ultimately decides to pass on you. So hearing what you're saying now, in the end, is it almost better that you didn't get the contract now? Because you seem like you're happy with the way things panned out. Your teammates over at ATT were saying good things about Bellator. Is it almost like a blessing in disguise that you didn't get the contract?
Yeah, I hope it's a blessing in disguise. You know, hindsight's 20/20, but I do think this was a better route for me in the end, not getting that contract. But, you know, we'll never know. Either way, I do feel disrespected till to this day, not getting that contract. You know, 30-24 scorecard, probably the most dominant performance ever on that show. I don't even know if anyone's ever had a 30-24 scorecard. So I was shocked by that. But, I mean, I guess that puts a little bit more of a chip on my shoulder. Then I landed in Bellator's lap, as you know. And I do think it would be for the better. And we'll see.
The last time we saw you compete, it was the title defense in February at Titan FC 67. You beat Damon Blackshear, which he's a tough guy, and the crowd's booing you because, you know, you're dominating him on the ground. And then in an Al Iaquinta-esque way, you decided to cut yourself a bit of a promo on those people who didn't find your style all that exciting. So why did you feel the need to do that after the win? Like, you got you kept the belts, you got your boat, you got your win money. Why did you feel the need to sort of add the cherry on top of the sundae and start calling some folks out?
Well, just for the haters that don't like me, I'm not going to be one of those guys that just listens to them and tucks my tail between my legs. I'm going to dish it right back at them. If you don't like me, I don't give a fuck. I don't like you. But of course, the people that like me, I like them back. I love fans, everybody that's cheering for me. Of course, that's great. But I do want people to understand that, this is mixed martial arts, and you might have an idea of where a fight should go or how it should take place. But the bottom line is it takes place wherever I decide it's going to take place. If I want to stand up on the feet, then I will. If I want to take it to the ground, I will. And, one thing about dominating someone that people don't understand is when you dominate somebody, it's not going to be that exciting because it's very one-sided. When a fight is very exciting, you see all these exchanges and scrambles and all that. So if you're booing me for how dominant I am, it's almost like you're clapping your hands to me because you're saying, I'm so much better than this guy. This is boring because all he's doing is beating the shit out of this guy. So I take it as a compliment, really, but I do recognize the disrespect in the crowd of booing me. So it's just fuck you. I got the win. You understand that I'm dominating this guy, and then time goes on.
So does it kind of suck in a way that there's going to be no fans on Friday? I mean, you get a couple of media members, the production crew and the commentators, some Bellator officials, but you don't get to hear the booing or anything like that. Is it better to have the fans? Like, are you kind of upset that there's going to be nobody there watching you perform?
Yeah, I for sure like the fans. I'm a guy that feeds off emotion and energy. Whether it's positive clapping from the fans or even booing, I kind of like that. I think that's what fighting is all about. It's the passion and the energy in it. You feel that crowd, you feel what they're thinking and everything. I love it. I love the fans there. But it is what it is. If there's not going to be fans, then that's all right. I would rather fight in front of no fans than not fight at all, is the way I look at it. It's really no sweat off my back. It doesn't affect my performance, I think, without having fans. But I for sure would love to have the fans and play to them.
Looks like we're getting pretty close to Bellator getting fans. So this might be the only time you fight in the fight sphere, so to speak. So you get Brett Johns, who is one of the big signings last year for Bellator, coming over from the UFC, 17-2 record. The only losses are to Aljamain Sterling, who's the current UFC bantamweight champion, and Pedro Munoz, and he's coming off the 2 wins against Montel Jackson and Tony Gravely. You get the chance to come in here, that chip on your shoulder, and play a bit of spoiler here. You must be loving this right now.
Yeah, I'm going to beat the shit out of the guy. I'm very confident that there's no way that this guy can beat me. The only way he does beat me is if he catches me. But I just think my defense is too intact for him to catch me. I don't see on the feet him posing me any problems. And then obviously on the ground, I'm a better grappler. I know he's a judo guy from Wales. I've never heard of judo in Wales. Maybe I need to get out more often. But yeah, I don't think anything he's going to do is going to pose an issue to me, and I'm going to steal his thunder. And I also do expect to dominate him. I don't want to just win over this guy. I know he's good, but I'm better. So I'm just going to go out there and dominate him.
So is he a guy you've been watching for a little while now? Like, do you know a lot about him?
Yeah, definitely. Because Pedro Munoz and Tony Gravely are both my teammates at American Top Team. So I've watched those fights, and I've been watching those fights, just like watching film and everything. So I do know a little bit about him. I've seen his fighting. I've seen, some of his tactics that he does. And I'm excited to get in there and smash his fucking head.
Have you had a chance to talk to those guys? Like maybe give you some tips? Like, I don't know if you're the kind of guy that looks for tips. You seem to be your own individual at the end of the day, but have you talked to those guys? The fight with Tony was ridiculous. That was like one of the crazier fights of the year.
Yeah, the fight with Tony was crazy. There was just scrambles on scrambles and scrambles. This was a short notice fight. I only found out about this a few days ago, but Tony and Pedro were both in the gym when I was last week, and I did talk to both of them. So just, little things that they said, little tactics that he does, not too much. And me specifically, in general, I don't like knowing too much about my opponent. I don't like studying him. But I do want to know certain little details if they have something. If a guy's got a crazy, spinning heel kick, I want to know about that just in case, just in case the fight could end in a second's notice. I want to know those type details. But they basically said, you know what, you're better than this fucking kid. Go out there and just prove it. I mean, that's what I'm going to do.
A win over Brett Johns would be a big one for you. I mean, the Bellator bantamweight division is pretty exciting right now. We got a new champion in Sergio Pettis. Juan Archuleta's there, the former champion. You got guys like Patchy Mix and Rafion Stotts, and of course James Gallagher seems to be the name that all these bantamweights are calling out these days. How do you feel you stack up against those guys and the rest of this division?
Yeah, it's a very exciting time in that Bellator bantamweight division, and you see those guys getting recognized more and more. I think people are starting to recognize the depth in that weight class, but I see no issues with any of them, especially the champion Sergio Pettis. I mean, I know after this win, I'm not going to get a title shot. It's just not how it goes. But eventually, if I do fight for the belt and it's Sergio, I'll fuck that guy up. And if he's the best, then you take all those guys below him and I'll do damage to them too. Patchy Mix, I was supposed to fight Patchy Mix that last fight. I got the call from my manager to fill in for James Gallagher to fight Patchy Mix. I said yes. I started cutting the weight. I got a call a couple hours later from my manager, and he said somehow the fight fell through. So I don't know if Patchy said no or if he was scared or the promotion said no, but that fight was almost going to happen a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I'm hoping to fight that guy somewhere along the line too. I honestly think all these guys are scared in the division, especially when you got a guy hungry as me coming up. And it's just going to be exciting from here on out.
Did you watch the Pettis Archuleta fight?
I did. Yeah, I was actually surprised how bad Archuleta's wrestling was. Pettis, when he would get taken down, he popped right back up and he did stuff a lot of those shots. When you face a guy like me, I don't think you're going to be able to defend those shots. And when I get you down, I keep you down. And then also his hands on the feet, he looked good against Archuleta, but I have a little bit of a different style than Archuleta. I don't think it matches up too well for him, but I guess we'll have to see.
Well, first things first, you get a chance to spoil the party on Friday and turn it into the Danny Sabatello show, which I'm sure is exactly what you're hoping for. How do we get this thing done, and how do we insert yourself emphatically into the mix here in this Bellator bantamweight division?
Yeah, I think I imposed my will on him, from the get-go. I'm not going to do anything, crazy from the start or any of that, just because when you're the better fighter, you don't want flukes to happen. You don't want randomness. You don't want a slug fight. If you're better, you just have to focus on winning that fight and doing the fundamentals. So I'm just going to go out there, impose my will, dominate him, maybe take him down, maybe feel him out on the feet. Maybe it's a striking match. I don't know. I'm not worried about his striking. But I do think second round, I'll just be battering his face up and I'll get that TKO in the second round.
There you go. It's an interesting time, no doubt about that. Should be a hell of a fight. Should be a hell of a card. Bellator 250. By the way, who's out there with you?
It's going to be Mike Brown, Steve Bruno, and probably King Mo in my corner.
Oh, man, that is a murderer's row of cornermen right there.
Absolutely.
Danny Sabatello absolutely on fire, ready to make a statement and make a strong move up the Bellator MMA 135-pound divisional ranks as he takes on Brett Johns. Should be a pretty damn good fight. And you heard Danny talk about teammates that helped him sort of veer towards the Bellator MMA side after the Contender Series snub. And here's someone right now, one of those teammates, one who happened to have been a Contender Series snub in his own right and having a lot of success for Bellator MMA. Also fighting this Friday in a big fight. Let us welcome Austin Vanderford. All right, let us say hello to the undefeated Austin Vanderford, who returns to the Bellator cage this Friday night against Fabian Edwards, big one at 185 pounds at Bellator 259. This is his fourth fight, I believe, in Connecticut. He might have to claim residence there moving forward. Austin, how are you, man?
It's good, man. Yeah, you're correct. This is the fourth one, for sure.
You know what I was just thinking about, Austin? You're back in the bubble, you're back in Connecticut, and I think you've now gotten to experience all 4 seasons that New England has to offer, because you fought in Connecticut in the winter, the summer, the fall, and now the spring. So how does it feel to be back in the Northeast on a fight week?
When we were pulling up here, I was telling Paige how much I liked Connecticut, and I like the East Coast, and it's beautiful. So it's cool. It's nice, especially when we can get out of quarantine and go walk around. It's really nice out, and I like to do that. Just get out, breathe the fresh air, and just enjoy.
Yeah, you got there at the right time, because a couple of weeks ago when we were out there getting ready for the Bellator event, it was not as nice as it is right now. It was pretty cold and chilly and windy. It was more of a wintry vibe than a spring vibe. So I think the timing is good for you. But we got to see you compete in November, and it was quite the road to get to that fight, because you got COVID along the way. Then you were supposed to fight Chris Curtis on that November card. He gets COVID along the way. And then you get a tough fight on short notice against Vinicius de Jesus, who the New England fans know exactly how good he is. And you go out and you get the win. How much did you take away from that whole situation, all the movement pieces, the adversity to getting your hand raised once again?
Yeah, going into that fight, it was a completely different game plan than what we were preparing for with Chris. But just being professional and just being ready. And I think my skill set's adaptable everywhere. And, I had a task at hand, and I knew what I had to go do. And we just made the move over to American Top Team in the past year. And, that was huge. And just preparing with everybody there, the coaches, all the training partners and whatnot. I still felt like, even though the opponent changed, I still didn't have any stones left unturned, and I felt confident going into it.
Between that fight and where we're at right now, we saw your wife, Paige VanZant, make her BKFC debut against Britain Hart, and she fought tough, man. She wasn't able to get the win, but the bare knuckle world is an island that not a lot of people have the gusto to travel to, and she has done it, and looks like she's going to be doing it again in a couple months. But as her husband, like, what was that like for you watching her compete in that environment for the first time?
It was, man, it honestly, it felt a lot just like getting ready and competing in an MMA fight. Of course, there's a little more at stake, I guess, with the damage and just being a new venture and whatnot. But of course, I was extremely proud, and especially, man, her last round, I thought she really turned it on and kind of showed what she can go forward and do in the fights to come. So more than anything, like, her spirit wasn't broken, and we learned from it, and we knew, there's a learning curve. And I think one of the biggest advantages in bare knuckle is just the experience and going in there and doing it, because it's just so it's different than what we've become accustomed to, with having pads on our hands and whatnot, going to bare knuckle and not really knowing, our hands going to break, how many shots can I take before I'm completely sliced up and all that. So really confident, excited for her next fight. And I was extremely proud. Of course, we were both bummed out and felt like it was a fight she could win. But, going into it, Britain had quite the experience over her. I think it was like her fourth or fifth fight. And, it just was a big eye opener. And even going just to the round lengths, being so short and knowing like how much we can really put on the gas pedal, from the opening minutes to the rest of the fight. So yeah, kind of cool, but it kind of hard to watch for sure.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, listen, it's never fun to lose a fight, but win or lose, experience is always won and gained in every contest. And you sort of alluded to that yourself, but what did she take away from that first fight that's been like really noticeable from your perspective? Like, I'm sure she like licked her wounds a little bit and was like, it sucks to lose. But was she just like raring to get right back in there when she was kind of over it?
Yeah, she was ready to get back in, and she she's a fighter, man. She's tough. Despite what, some people think, she's tough, man. And that's the biggest thing. And, she's ready to get back after it. And we're excited for the next fight for sure.
So some good momentum coming into this fight for ATT as well. Cause a couple of weeks ago, we saw Johnny Eblen have himself a night a couple of weeks ago, gets the big knockout win. Daniel Madrid is a stud, man. He's a guy that's very high on the list of like kind of making that next step in his career, and Johnny treated him accordingly. I know you've worked with him a little bit in preparation for this fight. How exciting was that for you to watch Johnny put on a performance like that?
It was awesome, especially because before Chris Curtis, that was my original opponent, was Daniel Madrid. So I had been preparing for him. I think he got hurt or whatever and fell out and all that. So Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I love Johnny. He's a great teammate, great guy, and really happy to see him go out and have the success. And I'm just happy for the ATT team and all of us. Just, I want us all to just go out and steamroll everyone, and I think it's a really cool dynamic and a family, and everyone supports one another in our dreams and all that. So I was super happy for Johnny. He's, like I said, really good guy, and deserved it for sure. He gets in there and works hard.
Has he taught you about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency at all? Because you saw that little thing on his shirt, man.
Yeah, we talked a little bit. He's really into it for sure. So it's pretty cool. But no, I haven't gotten into that yet.
I haven't either. But it was just funny seeing you could scan my shirt right now and get some Bitcoin in your life.
Oh, yeah, genius.
Smart man. You've had some good tests along the way in your Bellator run, Austin, but this one feels like the big one, at least thus far in your career. Like Fabian Edwards, like yourself, one of the top prospects at 185. He's coming off a tough loss against Costello Von Steenis, but he's a gamer. He comes from a fighting family, and the winner of this one takes a big step forward in this division towards the top. Like, how did you react to seeing Fabian's name on the other side of that contract?
I was excited. I've kind of alluded to it before, but he was a guy that I had on my radar, and I knew at some point our paths would cross and whatnot. So to get that fight opportunity, I was really happy, really excited. And, I agree. It's a big fight for me, but I see all my fights as my toughest fight, my toughest test. So, I don't take anybody lightly, and I'm excited to go out there on Friday night for sure. And I think there'll be fireworks.
Yeah, because this seems like the quintessential break down the wall kind of fight for you and get to the other side. Like we've talked a bunch of times over the years, like you've always had this take it a fight at a time approach to your career, and it served you in your mentality very well. But do you look at this fight as not just a step forward in this division, but a big leap forward to get you in that conversation with the Geghards and the John Salters, et cetera? Like, are you at this point, are you thinking about that? Is it a little more clear to you?
Yeah, for sure. My goal is set on being a world champion, and, and I know who has that title. And I also know the guys who are vying for it as well that are ahead of me and whatnot. But yeah, I think each time I fight, each time I compete is just to go out there and prove how good I am and the skill sets that I have. And, this one really isn't any different than that. We've got our game plan, we got our strategy, and we're just going to go out and execute. And I feel confident, and I feel like, the sound, the pressure that I'm going to be able to put on him is going to serve me well for the fight. And, I think it'll open up more eyes because he's got a bigger name than anyone I've fought yet. But, I think along the way, I've surprised people each fight. And I think this one will be no different.
So you're not looking at this in your mind, like if I win, I'm next in line to fight the winner of Gegard and Salter, because you assume that's the fight. It seems that's the direction later on the summer. But do you feel like if you go out there and put on a show and do what you expect to do, that you could get the winner of that fight? Like, are you even thinking about that right now?
Man, it's tough for me to. I'm so locked into Fabian and going out there and beating him. But of course, in the back of my mind, I know it's coming. I know it's soon, and of course, we talk about it and whatnot. But man, when I have an opponent, I like to joke around like, man, I'm ready to just go fight because I'm tired of thinking about this person. I'm tired of thinking about the same. And I'm to that point, I just want to go out and fight Fabian, and I'm sick of thinking about him. And it's tough. I just have tunnel vision right now, but I'm excited for after it because I know in the back of my mind what is to come and all that. And like I said, I want to go out and deserve it though. I want to earn all that. And, I think a good performance will bring me to that.
This is a very Tom Brady-esque approach to this fight game you have, Austin Vanderford. This is impressive. Yeah. Is Fabian a guy that you've watched a lot of? Is he a guy that, you're really familiar with the style? I'm sure you've been more familiar since the fight's been signed, but is he a guy that you've been paying attention to?
Yeah. I've thought about, maybe right after I got signed with Bellator, seeing him, or especially once I moved up to 185, seeing his name and seeing him, I definitely have had my eyes on him. And, like I said, I knew we'd cross paths. I knew we were both talented guys and both guys who were on the rise and whatnot. So, I've watched a lot. My coaches, of course, have watched a lot. I'm excited, man. This is the part that sucks, just sitting around, waiting and just to go and get it done, But to answer your question, yes, I have seen a lot of him and a lot of his fights.
How much better is life at 185?
1,000 times. Sometimes I'll say to Paige, like, maybe should I go back to 170? And she's like, I'll kill you if you, I'm walking around at like 210, like, I think I could. And we're like, nah, it's so much better. And it's just, it's more fun. It's more enjoyable. And, fight week here, it's not like I got to kill myself to make 185. And, I'll probably come in a little smaller Friday night, but that's the way it goes. And I'm happy to sacrifice giving up a little size against someone, just to enjoy life and enjoy my training and, not feel like I have to go in and train just to lose weight, but I can go in to train to get better in MMA and become a better martial artist and all that. And I think it's just more healthy. It's a healthier thing. And hopefully more people do it in the future. And I'm definitely sitting at 185, not ever going back to 170.
So what are you at right now? Like how much do you have to cut to get there right now?
Oh, I was like 202 a little bit ago, I think this morning. So didn't work out though, and got down to like 194 and a half. I can sweat like crazy. So, it's not really nothing crazy, just clean eating for the week or whatever, and just really work on getting any of that extra fat off and then doing a big water cut. And I'm pretty good at doing that.
There you go. So how do we get this thing done? How do you go about picking up the biggest win of your career and putting you in this prime spot in the middleweight division? How do you see this all playing out?
I think just going out and not forgetting what got me here, putting on the pressure, putting on, just being intense and going out there and doing things with conviction. And when I see the openings, making sure I capitalize on it.
Mike Brown's going to be a busy guy on Friday, isn't he?
Yeah, man. We got the whole stable of coaches out here. Mike Brown, my head coach, Bahumpa, Anderson, King Mo will be here. There's a lot of really good coaches. So you got to feel confident going into it with the guys that we got with us. So we got a good stable of fighters coming out here representing Friday night as well.
Yeah, Danny Sabatello, I talked to him earlier. That guy is a firecracker to say the least. He's ready to go and prove people wrong. And I feel like you and him are kind of similar in a way because both of you fought in the Contender Series. Both of you had dominant wins and got passed over. And now both of you are locked, signed, sealed, and delivered with Bellator. So has he talked to you at all because of this like sort of similar path that you guys have been on? Because you're both at ATT now. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I love Danny's such a good guy. I was pumped when I saw his name come up. I was going through Twitter and I saw someone say like Danny Sabatello. And I was like, fuck yeah, man. I'm so yeah, I told him I was really happy to see that. Danny's a really hard worker on the team, really talented kid as well. And I thought, another guy who kind of got screwed over on the Contender Series. And so we've talked. He's asked me in the past, it was like a month ago, he was talking to me. I was like, dude, if you have the opportunity, man, go to Bellator. Like if they call you up on a short notice fight or whatever, man, take that going, because I know how talented and tough he is. He's always in the gym. He's ready to go. Like you said, really intense guy. And I was pumped, man. I'm really happy. And so, yes, I've tried to sway him to sign with Bellator too. I was like, man, they like us wrestlers, buddy. Come over here.
I mean, such a nice guy, right? Austin Vanderford. That fight with Fabian Edwards on Friday should be a fun one because it's really hard to look good fighting either of these guys. So it's going to be a grinder on that main card of Bellator 259 this Friday night on Showtime. As we get ready to head to our final guest of the show this week, of course, a big shout out to all of you once again for checking out the show, however you may do so, whether it's in video form or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. It is much appreciated. It means a lot. Big thank you to Casey Leiden on the production, Jose Youngs and Alex Savis on the graphics and social media side. I appreciate all of you. Again, thank you for watching. Have a heck of a week, everybody. We will leave you with my chat with UFC middleweight Phil Hawes. All right, happy to be joined right now by one of the big winners from this past Saturday in Las Vegas, Nevada. Phil Hawes gets a unanimous decision win over Kyle Daukaus. Fun fight, pretty dominant performance. Happy to have Phil on the show here for the first time. Phil, how are you, man?
Hey, brother, I'm always good. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. You're probably feeling a little bit better than I had my second COVID shot yesterday, and it's kind of knocked me on my tush a little bit. But we gotta barrel through. I mean, you just fought for 15 hard minutes, so I have no excuses here, Phil Hawes.
For sure. We all got our own battles, so yeah.
Try to make me feel better about myself. I appreciate that. So, I mean, it was a great performance. 3 rounds of dominance. 2 of the judges gave you 30-26s. One of the judge gave him one of the rounds. Be that as it may, you got 2 paychecks in your hand raised. How does it all feel a few days later?
Just like you said, it feels great to get 2 checks. That's always the goal. Just blessed and fortunate that God gave me an opportunity to showcase my skills like that on Saturday.
Can I ask you, from your perspective, how that fight came together? Because there seems to be a little bit of confusion in the air with the whole Deron Winn situation, which I'm sure we're going to talk about in a moment since you're going to be fighting him in July. But you had signed to fight Deron first, right? And then this opportunity came to be. Is that what happened?
Yeah, exactly, man. I like to stay active, and I truly believe I'm the best in the world, and I feel like no one can touch me. So I got booked for Deron, and then the opportunity came up. My manager, Danny Rube, he hit me up and was like, hey, do you want to fight? I think it was like 3 or 2 weeks. So you want to fight this guy? I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. Doesn't matter who it is, Doesn't matter if it's 2 or 3, 4, 10, 12. I believe I'm the best, so it doesn't matter how you shuffle the deck. I'm going to come out on top.
So the plan was, like, when you said yes to this fight, you were like, fine, I'll just do both. Like, I'll fight this dude, and then in July I'll fight Deron too.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it goes to show how the UFC has faith in me and believes in me. I don't think a lot of fighters are getting double booked. A lot of fighters say like, oh, I'll fight this guy. I want to fight, then I'll fight this guy. But a lot of people aren't doing that. I think I'm one of the only that are getting double booked and actually going through with it.
Yeah, it was like you and Chimaev. Like Chimaev got double booked last year. It didn't happen. This is like the rare double booking that actually looks like it's going to happen. And I had no idea the Deron Winn fight was happening. Like we had reported you and Daukaus, but then Deron Winn goes on social media and says that you were being disrespectful and that you taking the fight against Kyle Daukaus means that in essence you did not want to fight him. So I know you're not like a massive Twitter guy, but were you aware of these comments from Deron Winn?
I heard. So I keep my circle small, and my circle knows not to involve me in negativity. So that sounds like negativity. I heard a little bit about it through the grapevine, but man, I don't pay attention to stuff like that. Deron can talk. I mean, I think he should be honored to even fight. You know what I mean? Still fighting for the big promotion. He's missed weight a ton of times. Got popped by USADA. Like, dude. Just show a fight. Like, we're going to fight. Relax. Sit down. Like, calm down.
Well, we'll talk about that July 17th date in a moment, but let's talk about your performance this past Saturday against Kyle Daukaus, because Kyle is a tough dude. He's a very legit prospect at 185. And to me, I felt like this is a perfect matchup for where you're trying to get to. Like, you're not in a massive rush. I feel like you paid your dues very early in your career with some of the names you faced right off the bat. Did you feel the same way? Like, did you know a lot about Kyle? And did you feel like, you know what, I want to get to the top 15. I want to get to those guys. I'm not in a giant rush to get there, but Kyle's like a really good next step to get to where I want to be.
I didn't look at Kyle as the next step. I looked at Kyle as just an opponent in front of me. Just like I said, I believe I'm the champion of the world as we speak right now. So I knew Kyle Daukaus was tough. I knew what he brought, his durability, and I like to face that adversity. I still thought I was gonna knock him out. But not because he's a bad fighter, just because I believe in myself. And I didn't get to finish, but I got the win, and I got to showcase some more of my skills and gain more experience, and just all coming intuition to get me ready prepare for my 5-round fight with Izzy. So,
He got you pretty good in the early stages of the second round with the spinning back fist, but you were able to, you said you like to face adversity. You were able to clinch up with him, and you got your wits to you, and then you were able to finish the round strong. How badly were you hurt in that moment?
I don't think it's a necessary hurt thing. It's like a shock, you just get stunned, I didn't expect it. I ducked under the kick, and I didn't expect him to come back with the spinning back fist. Like we're doing spinning shit. Like, I'm just trying to figure it out. But yeah, he caught me good. That was clever on his part. I'm gonna definitely keep my hands up from now on. Thank you for the lesson learned.
So here's one thing I felt was so essential about your win. This one in particular. I think you've officially removed that stigma that casual fans have attached to you that you're a first rounder bust fighter. Like for some reason, like especially after the debut, people are like, oh, if you get him out of the first round, like you can get him. But the fight with Imavov went the distance too. You showed a lot of heart in that fight, but this one was like a different thing. Like you were getting better as the fight progressed. Like I know you don't involve yourself in negativity and you have the small circle that likes you to stay positive, but have you heard that sort of stigma about yourself that like he's going to gas after the first round if he doesn't get me out of here?
Yeah, of course. But to that stigma, I always say because I know that's how people game plan. Like, okay, I'm going to drag him into the third round. But the thing is, like, you guys aren't going to, what makes you think you guys are going to make it past the first round? You know what I mean? That's my mindset. Like, and Daukaus made it past the first round and he, I was still there for the third round. You know what I mean? So like, I know people are still going to game plan. Get him past the first, but guys, don't plan on getting past the first. Like if your game plan is to take a beating, let me beat you up until I gas myself out. I mean, doesn't sound like a good game plan. You might not make it past it. But it always feels good to silence haters and doubters who say I can't go 3 rounds. There you go. There's proofs in the pudding. And we're just gonna keep getting better.
Is it nice that you have Deron lined up already? Like, I know we kind of like touched on this earlier, but it's like we said, it's the rare double booking that actually seems to have worked out. But are you happy it's like this fight locked in, or do you wish that in a way you were a little bit more open-ended, that you could have some more options? And this is no disrespect to Deron. You already feel like you're the world champion, but maybe get you something a little closer to having that shiny number next to your name. You know what I mean?
Man, yeah, so it always feels good knowing that I have a set date to showcase my skills and display what I worked on. So whether it be Deron Winn or whether it be Izzy, I'm just appreciative that the UFC gave me the opportunity to showcase my skills on a set date, you know what I mean? So I'm just honored to be here,
What are your thoughts on Deron as an opponent? I mean, he was on a little bit of a schneid. He came back and got a win over Antonio Hoyo and kind of knocked him out of the promotion. But what are your thoughts from a stylistic perspective on Deron Winn as an opponent?
I haven't really watched too much on him yet. I don't really watch too much of my opponents, but I know he's a wrestler, tough wrestler, under DC, yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Of course, like every fight's tough, and I'm going to prepare for it. A lot of people talk smack and talk, all that. But like when you hear me say things like, I'm going to knock you out, I'm going to knock him out, or like I said, it's not because I feel like they're inadequate. It's just I believe in myself and my skills so bad. And I just believe in myself and skills so bad, and I feel like I'm going to finish him.
Have you fought anybody as short in stature as Deron? Like, he's a pretty small guy for the weight class, and because of that, it makes his wrestling transitions a little bit easier for him on the feet because he does have that low center of gravity. He's short, but he's very, very strong. Have you fought anybody kind of like that before?
No, I haven't seen him on an actual person to gauge how high, how tall, and whatever it is. But I know he's gonna come ready. We have a guy on my team, Logan Storley, and he fights in Bellator. He's 170-pounder, and he's a little shorter than me, but I know his wrestling is like top-notch wrestling. You know what I mean? So he's gonna help me prepare for that. Pat Down's gonna help me prepare for that. I know Deron's gonna come ready. I know he's got DC in his corner. So we're just gonna do what we're gonna do. I haven't fought anyone his stature, but I'm excited to figure it out. My last 2 opponents were, the other guy was 6'6". This Kyle Daukaus was 6'3". Nasruddin was 6'3", you know what I mean? So it's good to fight someone a little shorter.
Have you seen Logan this week at all? Because I know he was supposed to fight on that Bellator card, and he weighed in, got up to the ceremonial face-offs, and then we were told, because I was out there covering the event, like 30 minutes before it was about to start, that the fight was off. So have you talked to him?
Yeah, I see him today at practice. Yeah, he said that he's going to get rebooked in 4 weeks or so, like that. They got a date, just not an opponent. So I'm happy that he gets to perform as well.
There you go. How close do you think you are to that Israel Adesanya fight? That he's about to fight Marvin Vettori. You mentioned his name multiple times in this conversation. You say it, maybe it comes true. We put it out there in the world, but how close do you think you are to that fight?
Man, like I always say, it's not Izzy I'm hunting for. I'm hunting for the belt, and Izzy happens to have the belt. There's no ill will towards Izzy. We were friends back in the day. We used to follow each other on Instagram, but then when I started winning fights in the UFC, he unfollowed me. So
what?
I know he's I know it's weird. I know he's watching. How close am I? Man, like I said, crazy things happen in this sport. Remember, we had Al Quinta. He wasn't like in the top 15. He fought Khabib for the title. We have Joe Soto. I think it was his first fight in the UFC. He got a title shot. You know what I mean? Ray Borg, he got a title shot, and I don't think did he earn that? I don't know how
they rebooked that one a few different times, and
so man, crazy opportunities happen all the time in the sport, and if an opportunity pops up, I'm definitely gonna be there to take it, to seize it.
So were you and Izzy, like, did you guys talk a lot, or was it just like a follow each other on social media?
No, he came down to Black Zillions when Rumble Johnson was supposed to fight John back in the day. And I was at Black Zillions at the time, and we kind of weren't like best friends, but we clicked. He was showing me some techniques, you know what I mean? He's got high level striking, He showed me one of the techniques I still use to this day, and that was like maybe 6 or 5 years ago. We follow each other on Instagram. I had a hard time finding fights, and I hit him up, and he hit me up with promoters. He gave me the names, like trying to help me find fights and things like that. So we were always cool, you know what I mean? Then one day I was like, what? Is he didn't follow me with that? So a little weird. So I know he's watching, so it's cool. It's cool to know.
This is while you were in the UFC that this happened?
When he unfollowed me, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. So we were cool until I got in the UFC, and then he unfollowed me, so that was weird. But I guess it's competition now, so let's get it.
There you go. You don't take that personally, right? It's just part of the game.
Part of the game. Yeah.
Well, there you go. And your game continues on July 17th. The double booking pans out. Deron Winn. Yeah. Very exciting stuff, man. This is a very busy year for you, so that's good. You might fight like 7 times this year at this point.
Let's get it. I think I've been in the UFC maybe 7 or 8 months. This is going to be my 4th fight, so I'm staying busy.
There you go. Phil, congratulations on the win, and look forward to seeing you back in there on July 17th.
Hey, thank you, bro. Thank you for having me.
You're listening to the Vox Media Podcast Network.